Hello, this is Hannah Catherine Ellis doing her visual verbal journal entry number 9. Um, our prompt this week was we were to choose one child, spend our time at the ELC with that child, play, document, follow the child's lead. So first I want to begin by giving a brief kind of analysis of what usually happens. Typically, whenever my partner Chelsea and I first walk into the ELC, they are just waking up from nap time. So that's usually very interesting. Our first task is to wake the children up, and then as soon as we do that, we encourage them to show us how they put their shoes on by themselves, in which then they pack up their bags, show us their cubby, put up their bags inside their cubby, and then they may proceed to free play throughout the classroom in the different areas. The children have a choice of which areas they would like to go to. They have free reign. It is completely their choice, which is a very interesting thing to myself. I think that's very great. After a certain time, the teacher Catherine, will call them for group time. Afterwards, they will go outside and play until 5 o'clock. Usually I'm there from 2:30 to 5:30. So prime time for getting to see the children get picked up and see their parents and their reactions to their parents, and it's a very, very rewarding experience. Let's get to it. I actually ended up observing 2 children because the first child that I was following and playing with ended up going home early. She had sick. She was sick. She had the croup. So unfortunately, she was not feeling very well, and halfway throughout the classroom, or halfway throughout the time I was there, she had to go home early. So I then proceeded to go with another child. So again, I was with 2. Very, very different experiences. The first one was a little girl. We will call her Lucy. I do not want to give out her real name. So we are with Lucy, and as I woke her up from her nap, she was very hesitant at first. She is typically does not care for waking up, and she's very difficult to wake up, but makes the experience all the more rewarding. After I woke her up and she showed me how she put her shoes on by herself, she ended up going to the bathroom like she was supposed to, and she showed me her cubby, and then she proceeded to the book area so she could read a book. We read one of the classic books. The Rainbow Fish was actually kind of near and dear to my heart because that's actually one of my favorite childhood books, so it was very fun for me. So we sat down, and again, she wasn't feeling very well, so she curled up into my lap, and she let me read the book to her, and she would point to the different colors and point to the different fishies, and it was a very, very good time. Afterwards, she got up and she went to the imaginary play area. This was a very fun experience because there were 3 other children there at the time, and we got to play grocery, so we still had a good amount of empty cereal boxes, and we had popcorn buckets, which were more like popcorn cups. They weren't absolutely huge Tupperware, but still very interesting, and they absolutely seemed to love the Tupperware boxes. We also had various plastic fruits and vegetables for the imaginary play, and they got very much into it. I was playing the cat, actually. At first I attempted to be a motherly figure and be an adult, but then they told me no, I was the kitty. That's been a reoccurring theme in the imaginary play area. Whenever I go with a certain group of girls, they always want me to play kitty, so it's kind of almost comical to me. So I was the kitty in the car because the kitty was not allowed inside the grocery store, which was almost interesting for me to realize that is true. Typically, the animals are not allowed inside a grocery store. It's not allowed. So it was interesting that they took note of that and they implemented that into their grocery store experience. Once I was in the car, the phone rang, and I was able to answer the phone, even though I was just a kitty cat to them. They told me to answer the phone, and I was talking to the mom who was at home, and we had to go back and get milk because we forgot milk. It was, again, a very interesting experience, as I have personally done that myself. Definitely I've forgotten a few things at the store, and definitely had to go get things for my own mother. So as I was following them around, and I got inside the car, which at the time was just the sofa, in the classroom in the imaginary play area, I was allowed to go back into the store to get the milk. At that point, I had turned back into a human. So actually, that was one example of how I followed their lead, as the children changed their minds. It was a very inconsistent person, an inconsistent object. I went from being a kitten to being an adult to being back to a kitten. So it was just very interesting, as I said before, to see that and follow their lead. I had to almost keep up and take note of their cues. As soon as they said no the first time, I was almost a little shocked to hear that I couldn't be a human. I couldn't be an adult. I had to be the cat. So usually they will typically say, oh, let's play kitty, let's play kitten. But instead this time they said, let's play grocery. And then as I got into the car, they said bad kitty, because I had to sit in the back. So I followed their lead that way in terms of changing characters from second to second. A very interesting thing. Unfortunately, after that point, the Lucy's mom came and picked her up, and I started following, we'll call him Jeremy. Jeremy, the little boy that I was with. Jeremy was in the block area and was building certain bridges and building certain structures for his cars to go under and to race under. Soon after we were building the bridges, we went outside, and it was very muddy outside. It had been raining. So I recall that the boys put on their mud boots, and they were running around, and I was talking to one of the teachers, and all of a sudden I just hear, I was watching the little boy running around and playing in the mud area, and I just all of a sudden feel these two hands like grab my leg, and I looked down, and there he was, and I said, what's going on? And I asked him to describe to me what the situation was. He said, you're going to jail. So it was funny that I ended up having to go to jail, which was the tree. But all of a sudden, then more and more boys came up following me, and then they were like pushing me to go to the jail cell, because I had picked my nose. I hadn't, but they had made up the crime that I had committed was picking my nose. So that's another example that I had to kind of transition back and forth from different characters and different situations, and you really have to catch on with their imaginary play area. I think it's absolutely wonderful how big their emotions are, or their imaginations are, and how they can really build off one another. It wasn't just a set black and white of, oh, you're going this way because you did this. It was you're going this way because you did this and you did this. And it would vary each time. So I would try to run away from them, and then they would come catch me again. Just a very fun experience for myself. I truly enjoy engaging with the children and learning their stories and learning why I was going to jail. I learned that the children who typically would grab me and push me to the jail, they seemed to know a good amount. They said I have to go talk to the bailiff. They told me that I had to stay in my jail cell. So again, just a very fun experience. The differences between being with the girls and the guys, I think, was very rewarding in terms of I got to see technically how their imagination and how their imaginary play is very similar and very different, in the fact of the girls, they were more focused on the roles of more domestic, which I know is not a boys versus girls thing. There is no set, girls play in the grocery and boys play with the blocks. That is absolutely not true. We have learned that through experience, we have learned that through textbooks, we have learned that through just everything. So I think it's great that the girls were also playing in the mud when I was playing with the boy outside in the mud. I also saw that there was a little boy playing in the kitchen area, and they were going to the grocery. So just a very rewarding experience overall. I learned very much about the children, about myself, and about the classroom in general. Thank you.